Happy Self Love Sunday. I am Sass, the host of Self Love Sundays with Sass. I am your vision and empowerment coach, and I come here every single Sunday so we can talk about all the ways in which you can better your best. Number one, I cannot believe it is almost the end of May. It is just time, it really is flying, y'all. And what I love about that is, it's like when I think about it, though, it's almost the end of yet another quarter. So for those of you who've been rocking me for a minute, you'll know what I'm talking about. But for my new folks that are joining me, number one, welcome. I hope you come back every single Sunday and enjoy the content. But what I do is, so I have a vision, I have a 5-year vision plan for my life, right? So I take that and I break that down into the current year. So I say, okay, in 2022, I need to accomplish, this is my vision. I have a vision, a theme, y'all, for the year. And then I go and break down each quarter what I must do so that by the end of the year, I've lived out my vision. Okay. So when I talk about living out my vision, I'm talking about I have a vision for my physical, nutritional, spiritual, emotional, and financial health. All right. So it's like, all right, I'm almost at the end of the quarter. I'm like, all right, man, get almost done with yet another goal for second quarter. So it's a wonderful feeling to know, like, all right, I'm almost there. But today I want to talk to you about doing the work. It is time. For those of you, let me just say this, because I want to celebrate for those of you who've been rocking with me and you've been doing your work. Please keep going. Keep going. Don't give up. I know that things can feel discouraging, especially because we're living the popcorn, the microwave popcorn society where we just want it like 3 minutes and we want everything to be fulfilled. And that's just not how things work, right? So I want to encourage you to keep going. And for those of you who have not started, it is time to do the work. You cannot say, all right, so here's the thing. You can say anything you want. So let me just back that up. I hear people talk about, the anxiety, the stress, the overwhelmment, just not feeling fulfilled in their relationships, whether it's the partnership with their significant other and or friendships. I hear it all. But no one is doing the number one thing, which is doing the work. First of all, you have to decide truthfully if you don't want to live certain things out in your life anymore. You have to decide that you're going to take full accountability for that and then move to do something different. Okay? You cannot expect something new and don't do anything new. That's not how this works. You cannot look at other people and say they need to get their lives together and you're judging all over the place. You're talking about this person and that person, but yet you're not doing the work. That is not how this works. What you desire wants you to. I just said that to somebody. I truly love him. I was talking to a good friend this weekend, and the one thing I said to him is, I said, the woman that you want wants you to. And it's so true, but we don't believe it. And that's why we got to do the work. We have to work on our mindset. Number one, if you do not have a vision for your life, if you don't have, goals for your life, we got to start there. Okay. And what I call that is getting a system around you to ensure that you win. You cannot do this alone. And what is this? The healing and the emotional intelligence and all that it requires for you to live a life of abundance. And when I talk about abundance, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about the abundance of joy and happiness and peace. Let me explain something to you. There's not enough money to buy the peace that I have. It's so real. But that's because I made a decision that things are going to be different. And that's the decision in that was that I was going to do the work. I was going to get a system around me. So when I talk about a system, I'm going to go back to that. Listen, if it's deep trauma, it's time to call in a therapist. Okay? If it's I want to create a vision for my life. I want to leave a legacy for my children's children. Whatever that legacy looks like to you, that it's time to call in a coach. Why? You cannot do it alone. You cannot see the blind spots. I'm telling you right now. So many people will have a conversation, they'll go off and do whatever, and then they end up calling back and saying, hey, can we work together now? Right? And it's so crazy. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. But it's true. It's so true. Like we listen. You were not born alone. What does that mean? You were born into a family. You were born into some sort of family structure, right? When you were born, right? There was doctors surrounding you, nurses surrounding you, your mom, and if your dad, not really sure, everybody's dad wasn't there, but you were born with people surrounding you, because you could not come into this earth without some assistance. And it's the same as living on earth. You need some assistance. Get a system around you. Do your work. You can absolutely have the love that you want. You can absolutely have the finances you want. You can absolutely walk around and not feel anxiety. And I'm not going to tell you that you're not going to feel fear, because that would be a lie. And the one thing y'all know I don't do is I'm not coming in here and lying to you about nothing. Okay, you're going to feel the fear. The whole point of the fear is to do it anyway. Feel the fear and do it anyway. All right, but I'm going to just tell you just really quick why doing the work is so important. So the week before last, I was getting ready to go to an event, and let me just pause right there for a moment. And when you do the work, it will put you in the rooms with the right people that will help you to get to the next level. Sidebar that. Okay, so I had a family member going to the hospital, but I had an appointment in Jersey, so I'm running from the hospital in Pennsylvania to New Jersey, and I'm like speeding on the highway. I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm just doing all the things but not paying attention. So I get to New Jersey, and I'm like, man, I'm speeding. I'm doing like 80, 85. Don't judge me, okay? Don't judge me. Judge your mama. All right, I said it. But I'm speeding, and I now speed past this cop, and I'm like, oh man, he gonna pull me over. So he pulled me over. So we pull over, and it just so happened that my pocketbook was sitting on the passenger side of the seat, and it had the hospital sticker still on it. So when the cop came over, I was so flustered, like I had so much going on. And he comes over to the window, and I'm like, listen, I'm running from the hospital. I gotta go by my mother's house. I'm just rambling all these things, and I'm not even realizing I'm rambling. I'm just rambling. And then I stopped. I literally stopped, and I said, you know what? No excuses. Here's my license and registration, sir. And he said, yeah, you were speeding. He was like, just let me go. And but here's the thing about my registration. I couldn't find the new one in the car. Okay, so I'll tell you real quick. It was my daughter's car that I bought for her, but I drive it now. That's another story. We'll talk about that another time. But I couldn't find it. So he said, give me the old one. I'll be able to pull it up. So he goes back to his car, and I'm sitting in there listening to this, still listening to the audiobook, like, nothing I could do, right? No excuses. So he comes back to the car, and he's like, well, I have some bad news. And I'm like, what? And so first of all, he said, I'm going to give you a ticket that's no points or whatever. You just pay it online. And I'm like, all right. And secondly, he said, your registration expired. And I'm like, there's no way, this is the lease. And for me, I'm like, I'm on top of everything, y'all. Like, that's just how I am. Like, I'm on top of everything. There's no way. And he said, technically, I'm supposed to, take your car. And my eyes must have popped out of my head. And I'm like, what? And he said, you know what? But because you were straight with me, because you took accountability, because you owned it, I'm just going to he said, I do have to give you another ticket. He said, here's what I'm going to do. I want you to sit right here and go online and register your car. I was like, oh my God. And I was so thankful and grateful in the moment. And so why am I sharing this story with you? Because that's the work. Now, a couple of years ago, number one, I would have got pulled over. I wouldn't have owned none of it, right? Then I would have had an attitude for being pulled over because I'm now running late. On top of that, I wouldn't have had the money to pay the ticket, so I'd have been all up in arms, right? And here's the other part about it that was so beautiful. I had no idea that my registration had expired. I had to literally drive to Delaware in a couple of days after this. In my mind, I was so thankful for that cop for pulling me over, because I couldn't have imagined driving to Delaware and being pulled over and someone says, I'm going to take your car, and I'm now in Delaware. I would have been like, oh my God, like, you know what I'm saying? Because not every officer would have treated me that way. This is why I say it's important to do the work, because it's going to allow you to see things differently. It's going to allow you to find the gratitude and to be grateful for something that could have been 10 times worse. Right? And it's in the sad, because people would be like, oh, it's so cliche. No, it's not. It's doing the work. And then not only that, if the old me would have been mad the entire day about all of it. It was a moment. I was so grateful for everything that was happening. And then it's so crazy that I was grateful, and this is going to sound weird, y'all, that he had pulled me over because I could just breathe. Some of you just need to stop and breathe, because you're letting an upsetting moment upset your day, shift your life. Just breathe. And so this is why doing the work is important. Because of the work, not only that I've done on myself, that I do, it allows me to see things from an eagle's viewpoint. You know? And it's super, super important. Do your work. If you want to experience the life that you dream of, all it is number one, deciding, make a decision. So these are the steps. Number one, make a decision. Decide. And once you decide, here's the thing about that decision. Once you decide, you got to decide that you're not never going back to who you are. I promise you. You know, I talk to my clients about this all the time. I have a 30-day, mindset makeover program. Listen, call me. Okay. And we talk about the fact that once we make this decision to walk this path, we cannot go back. There's nothing back there for you. I promise you. You know what's back there for you? No, let me, there's something back there. That same overwhelming, that anxiety, that stress, that lack mentality, that lack of joy, all of that's still sitting there. You can go back through that door if you want to. But on the other side is everything you desire. You just have to believe in yourself enough to know that it's possible. You have to get yourself around people enough to help you see the things that you can't see. Okay, so secondly, once you decide, okay, now it is choosing, right? Choose what it is that you need. If it's trauma-based, get you a therapist. I tell her, listen, therapy plus Jesus for me. And I always bring in spirituality, because listen, you cannot do this alone. You need a higher power, a higher source, something higher than a human. All right? I don't care what you call it. I'm not here to tell you what to call it. I'm just here to tell you that to walk this thing out, you need something higher than yourself. Okay, so for me, it's Jesus plus therapy, right? Do the work, right? If it's not everyone is trauma-based, and some people could have done their work already, but they're at this second step of like, okay, I want more, or there's certain things I want to obtain, and I'm just not getting there. I'm kind of stuck in this space. So this is where the coaches come in at. Hello. This is where the vision and empowerment coach comes in, i.e. me. So get yourself a coach. And even if it's not me, I'm not that girl, honey. I'm the one who wants to see you win at all costs. And what that means is it doesn't have to necessarily be me. But get you a coach to help you walk those things out, to help you with accountability, to help you see how you're showing up, because you probably think you're showing up one way and you're showing up completely different. Most people can't see themselves. It's so crazy. I can walk in a room and I can have a conversation with somebody and I can hear all of their insecurities, all of them. I can hear and see what's in their way. And the reason why they can't is because we all have blind spots. The reason why I have a coach that's to take me to the next level, because I don't know what I don't know also. And that's the other thing. Oh, I wanted to say this. When you walk in any room, I don't care what room it is, and you decided that you want to do something different and you want to, please stop walking in these rooms like, oh, I know everything already. The reason why the student doesn't learn anything from the teacher is because they've already decided that they know more. They've already decided that they wanted to block it out. They already made up their mind instead of understanding that a different perspective and maybe hearing it. First of all, repetition is mastery. Sometimes you have to hear that thing over and over and over again before you can move. And the other part to it is, and the biggest part is, if you knew it, why you're not doing it? Because knowing is doing. Knowing, real talk, if you know it, this is why when I talk to people, don't tell me you know, because if you know, you would be doing it. You don't know. And it's clear, and it's evident. When I talk to people, listen, if I'm not living it, I will not say I know it, because then if you know it, you're doing it. Don't talk to me about your logic. And even logically, it still must not be making sense to you because you're not doing it. I'm sorry to burst your bubble today. So many people walk in the room and they listen to, oh, I know that already. Okay, so then why are you sitting next to me and not up there? That part. I never walk in rooms like that. I walk in and I usually ask God to break me open, to help me see that if I truly knew it, why am I not walking in it? And what does it take to walk in it? Every next level requires you to level up in your mindset. It requires you to level up in your emotional health. It requires you to level up in your nutritional health. What you eat, I promise you can determine some things. It's going to require you to level you up in your physical health. And please, can we get away from this? Working out doesn't mean that you're skinny. I'm thicker than a Snicker, okay? It doesn't mean that. I just wanted to state that for the record. But you got to do your work. If you listen, make the decision, choose your system of accountability, because that's what it is. And if you're going to get an accountability partner, let me help you. Please choose someone who has been there and done that, which means they're like 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. Someone who's going to hold you high, someone who's going to someone who's not going to confirm your BS, but correct it. All right. I keep saying it's a season of correction. So many people are walking around with people who are confirming their BS. I don't want nobody to confirm my BS. I want you to correct me. Course correct me. Because I said that I am a wealthy, powerful, and intuitive leader. That means that I want to be in that direction, not the opposite. So I need people in my life who's gonna help to correct me, not confirm my BS. So do your work. Everything you are seeking is truly seeking you. It is not a cliche. The reason why you think it's a cliche is because you're not doing the work on your mind. You're not doing the work on your soul, in your spirit. You're not doing the work on your emotions. You're not doing the work. So you don't believe. See, I know what's possible. My clients know what's possible because they're doing the work. And then, this is the other thing, and this is the most beautiful part about walking in spirituality. Notice I didn't say religion, I said spirituality, which means I have a personal relationship with God. I know that all things are possible, and not to him that believes. And I know that a reminder benefits the believer. That's why I have these people around me to remind me of what's possible. You have to follow that. I went to an event called Move to Millions. Why? Because listen, I didn't come for millions, but millions is going to come from me. And that's what she said. Dr. Doniel Jarvie Harmon, I always mess up her last name. And then why am I calling her name out in my video? Because I always give credit where credit is due. It always will shine a light on my sisters who are helping not just me, but others to win. That's your problem too. You so busy thinking that somebody's going to steal something off your plate. That's because you haven't done the work. Do your work. I walked in that room and I saw a sister that I'm ready to collab with. I didn't see competition, I saw collaboration. Do you know why? Because I understand, because of my relationship with my higher power, because I've done the work in therapy, because I also have a coach that my lane is mine. No one can have what's in my lane. So I'm not worried about nobody coming in it. Period. But you don't know that because you're not willing to do the work. I mean, there is a saying that, if you put on an event and a function, you have to be careful about who you have on the stage or whatever, because, like, people could listen. I promise you. The people that God has lined up for you to help walk, because when you walk in your purpose, whether you believe it, I don't care what your purpose is, when you walk in it, you are going to help others. It is not for you. My gift is not for me. That's why sometimes people are like, well, you got this gift, well, why things? Well, because the gift wasn't for me, the gift was for you. You will also learn that when you do your work. When you start to operate in that gift, you are going to help so many people. You have to understand that the vision that you've been seeing, the dream that you see over and over again that you're so afraid to step in, the love of your life that you see over and over again that you're afraid to approach, it's all waiting for you to decide, choose, and get a system around you and do your work. And then as soon as you do, because you're in the work, I'm going to tell you, it's so funny. Sometimes when you're in the work, you don't even see. All of a sudden, they're there. They're there. Literally, I asked God for so many specific things, and they've been appearing over and over again. But that's because I'm in my work. Do the work. I hope you have the most amazing Sunday. If you want to reach out to me, www.mosass, MOESASS. If you want to book a consultation with me, you can also email me at info@mosass.com. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Life Coaching with Sass. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have the most amazing Sunday. I'll talk to you next week.